Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the next in a series of food service consultant webinars from the brand teams. I'm Andrew Taylor, I'm the Marketing Communications Manager here at Welbilt, and joining me on the call today is Mark Lebelgi, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Multiplex, and Martin Radcliffe, the Product Sales Manager for Multiplex. Good morning, both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this session will last around 45 minutes to an hour, and we're going to start with Mark and Martin giving a brief introduction to the Multiplex range, talking through the latest innovations, features and benefits from the beverage products, and then we're going to finish with a question and answer session. If you have any questions at all, feel free to pop them on the chat and we will do our very best to answer them. But for now, over to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. I'll just move to the presentation slide deck that we have prepared. So let me share the screen. Here we go. Well, first of all, Andrew, thank you very much for inviting us on behalf of Multiplex to this presentation. It's a first that we present our beverage brand to the world of consultants. So I hope it will be the start of a journey, and we've built an agenda to more support an introduction rather than a full-on training to the beverage category. Clearly, the new normal and all the impact of COVID-19 is touching on beverage dispense, as you can imagine. And we'll see how our brand evolve with that challenge moving forward. So I think everybody knows you, Andrew. Myself, Mark Lebelgi, I've been in the business for 15 years, pretty much always focused on beverage sales. And I'm also supported by Martin Radcliffe, our product sales manager, who is based in our UK facility in Hensel in the Midlands. So the agenda, I'll start with something that we all know, Welbilt, but really looking at where we fit as a brand, Multiplex, within that global portfolio. We'll then have a deeper dive onto the Multiplex brand in terms of operation, in terms of size, in terms of product range as well. We'll then have a deeper look on two areas of specialty for ourselves, cooling and dispensing. And typically the cooling, the refrigeration side of things is a bit hidden, and the dispensing is more the front end that you have on an over-counter solution or the top of a bar. So we'll be looking at that. And then I think given that Multiplex is quite new in that world of consultancy, rather than covering the full breadth of our product portfolio, we've picked two products, ALB and Fresh Blends, and they have both a specificity is we are able on these two platforms to offer equipment, ingredients, and service, clearly relying on third-party partners, but we do have a solution, a system available. And finally, we'll go back to the title of the presentation, which is the future of dispense, how we see COVID-19 impacting our industry. And we'll then open up to some Q&A at the end of the presentation. Okay, so typically, as it used to be presented, Multiplex was on the cold side. We now display that in the dispensing, serving category alongside Manitowoc, Multiplex, and Creme. So it's a brand which has been in the Welbilt Manitowoc food service portfolio for many years. And you'll see it's quite an exciting world. It's a fun world. We deal with global brand owners, the lack of Coke, the lack of Heineken, the lack of coffee roasters, and I hope you get excited with what we have to present. And it's fair to say that quite often beverage is almost seen as a side category, and possibly because the big global brand owners that I was referring to tend to manage it all. They buy the equipment from us. They have integrated technical services. They manage the sales process to the operator, to the end user, and often, we are just one little piece of the equation providing a piece of kit. But as Welbilt, we can look at things differently and put beverage more in a food service package. And to illustrate that, we've got that photo, which is taken from our office in Guildford. So you can see a combi steamer with a Convertham oven. There's a Mary Chef oven that you can't really see here. You've got a creme coffee machine, and you've got a water dispenser, a multiplex water dispenser. And that system is being used day in, day out, and complements very well the suite of typically food service equipment. So it's not a side brand, it can be integrated into a food service package or bundle. I was showing on the previous slide on the dispensing and serving category, ice with Manitowoc, coffee with creme, and beverage with multiplex. And that's a bit our vision of the future. What we would envisage is, a mix of, in this case, a modern looking like tea bar, doing hot coffee, but also cold beverages. It could be water, it could be milk, it could be different things. And I have to say that the fact of bringing together hot and cold is something exciting. It's exciting for the like of JDE, the lack of Nestle, and the lack of Coke, who, as you know, has acquired the Costa brand 18 months ago or so. So it's a case of looking forward to a future where we could bring these three brands together and adapt ourselves to menus which really combine the three aspects of hot, cold, and ice. If you look at the Starbucks menu, at the Costa menu, at the McDonald's menu, the trend of combining these three elements is very strong. And that's where we want to be in the future. I'll show you a different layout. So these products don't exist. It's more strategically a vision as to where we would like to be. So beverage is important for our customers. It's important in terms of volume. It's important in terms of margin. If we look at a typical QSR chain, I'll tell you now that they generate much more margin with CSDs than they do with burgers and fries. So it's something which is critical for the overall commercial viability of a food service establishment. Hot brings some very decent margin, and as you can see here, we've got some double-digit margin on beverage. And as you enter in the world of specialty beverage, what is displayed here as frozen dispensed beverages, so smoothies, crafted beverages, the margin gets extremely high. We can go up to 70–80% in some cases. So, in a world where financially a number of operators, retailers are going to be stretched, I do feel that having a relevant and profitable beverage offering is very relevant to our food service approach. Okay, so I'll move on to our brand introduction. So that's a photo of our site in the UK, which we are very proud of. in Helzowen in the Midlands, close to Birmingham. There's no Photoshop, I have to say. That's the real photo is a blue sky, as it happens on occasion. And I invite you to visit us at any stage or whenever the circumstances are better suited for traveling. It's all about refreshing the experience. We have a very lean and very efficient facility with 130 odd employees. We design, we source, we manufacture, we QA test, we facilitate logistics to a wide range of customers. So that's in essence what we do, and it's all about refreshing the experience. Globally, a few numbers. We generate globally a turnover of $138 million US. A similar split to what you have across Welbilt when you look at our 3 regions. Probably a bit weaker in APAC, and an area where we are looking to invest from a resource and marketing perspective to penetrate the market a bit better. Our end markets are pubs, so needless to say that we are very happy to see the pub trade reopening last weekend. Restaurants and QSR forming the bulk of the rest of the end market categories. Channels, key accounts, global accounts. I mentioned a few: the Coke, the Pepsi, the Heineken, the Carlsberg. Typically, I would say that especially in the UK, which is a big market for us, we tend to go direct with some of these accounts, but we also go through dealers and distribution, and trying to have an harmonized approach with the other brands wherever that's possible. So that's our global footprint. So we manufacture from Mexico, Tijuana. We've got an engineering facility in Salisbury. As I said, we manufacture from Helzowen in the UK. And we haven't leveraged it too much, and you can see it by the numbers I was showing previously. But we have refrigeration capability in our Hangzhou production plant that could do beverage if we wanted to in the future. Our customers, as I said, I'm mapping out here the customers per segments. So the HoReCa market segment is very big for us. We are touching more and more, touching more and more on the convenience category with retailers, grab-and-go, C-stores. And I think the 2 products we're going to be zooming on are very suitable for that market segment, and a little bit in various businesses like office, institution, and education. We deal with brands, and I'm not going to repeat what I've just said. So typically that's where we have our contracts set up. Operationally, on a daily basis, we tend to deal more with the bottling end of these large groups. So if you take Coca-Cola, that's a global brand based in Atlanta, and then they have similarly to QSR chain a network of franchise bottlers who we deal with on a daily basis, and really they are in charge of the operations at a country level. We deal, especially for the QSR, with KSs. So no surprise here with the names you are seeing: Frankie, H&K, big customers. It works well. We supply bundles to them. It covers, we sell fryers, grills, UHCs, beverage, and ice. It all goes in one container from the US. It's ready to fit. We typically don't own and manage ourselves distribution, but we've got access to a network of FAS. Some of them do service and distribution with the like of Inserv, Macromatic, Alltech, BTI in Ireland. So some quite solid partners who can help us make it real outside of the UK. The chains where we deal direct, limited in our world, but still big players, McDonald's obviously, but also Starbucks, where we've implemented a nitro coffee platform. C-stores, we're just touching it today. We are not heavily into it, but you know we've had some fairly advanced discussion, for instance, is with Circle K on a range of drinks solution. And retail, I'm not sure it's actually retail, but we also provide solutions for IKEA in the UK, Russia, and a few other markets. So that gives you a flavor as to where we are present. So we can deal with global players, we can deal with partners like the KES, like distributors. We have access to a service network, so we can bring the 3 or 4 different legs of what make a partnership work well together. I'm not going to insist too much. The whales of the industry, so one way or the other, we work with them. If you look at the top 5, ABI, largest brewer in the world, their turnover in million US dollars here. We supply them in the UK with cooling equipment. Nestle, we don't work with them on the cold side of beverages today, but clearly we want to leverage as much as we can our connection with Scrum to get into that category. Coke, Pepsi, obviously, and finishing with Heineken. So, you know, we do connect with all the big players that you see here. Our go-to-market, as I said earlier, it depends a little bit on the drinks category. We deal with brand owner and bottlers. That's probably 80% of our business, or maybe less, 60% of our business. And then I would spread it 20-20 between KS and FS through distribution. So happy to discuss that in more details. I think we, as hopefully we progress things with the world of consultants, we can review, you know, what is the best channel, who are the best partners, if required, to take some of our products into market. Technology. So that's our kind of top level view of our technology and product strategy. We try to find the kind of common grounds between what is the expectation from the consumer, what is the expectation from the customer, and so that's more the operator, and what is the expectation from a brand owner. And somewhere in the middle, you've got the sweet spot. So clearly this, and we'll touch on it a bit later, 3 big things. The order might have changed because we've got this COVID-19 which has popped up and become the top of the priority around safety. That's the expectation from consumer, not being at risk. Consuming healthy beverages is absolutely critical, and you understand that from a pricing perspective with the sugar tax, but also from, you know, just being well, fit and healthy. Sustainability, and I'll stop there on that chart, used to be probably number 1 on that list. It's probably dropped down a couple of levels. Still important, especially in a world where, you know, the reaction to COVID-19 has been, oh, I just want bottles, I just want packaged drinks, that's going to be safer. Well, it has a major impact on the environment. So it's still important, and actually the beverage dispensers that we provide is or are a good answer to that. Again, I'm not going to elaborate too much. But as I said, we are factoring in what the customers are telling us around hygienic design expectation, being able to provide compact and cost-efficient solutions, being able to connect and having cashless and contactless UI or dispensing points to avoid cross-contamination. And I think, I touched on it, and you could see it on this vision of the future. Integrated or not, hot and cold, I think is really important and meets a real expectation from the consumer and the customer. And I have to say that probably if you go back 10 years ago, we would have had an approach which was very technically driven, very focused on equipment only. And the way we look at things now, and I think that's the positive side of working with our food service colleagues, is more starting from, what does the consumer wants to drink? What is the expectation? And that menu pool, as we call it, that translate from a desire, an aspiration of, this is the beverages I'd like to have. How does that become an equipment solution, bringing ice, cold, hot, and possibly toppings to prepare drinks which are more and more complex, to more and more elaborate, I would say, to meet the expectations. Okay, so we've talked about beverages, we talked about customers. So what is Multiplex? What is the real stuff behind the scene? So it's a bit like a factory, a beverage system. We take raw ingredients. So the main one typically is water, especially if we deal with soft drink system. We have different type of ingredients. They can be syrups, they can be concentrate, they can be powder, they can be gases. We store them in the most efficient manner, so that it doesn't take too much space, so that it's clearly visible. We can replace the stuff as it gets used, and we have racking systems that enable that. Then we tend to cool or heat the ingredients one by one. We can also transform them in, for instance, carbonating or the water, in nitrogenating the coffee. Typically that's taking place a little bit away from the pure point of dispense. It can be integrated all in one, but typically it's a bit separate. So we have to bring all these ingredients which are raw or have been transformed to a point of dispense, with some different tubings, pumps, piping, Python, you name it. And then we've got the dispenser with typically an over-counter or top of counter point of dispense with a valve. So it's not a singular piece of equipment, it's a system. And that system can be a little bit complex to specify, to understand what the customer wants for the water filtration, the specification of the ingredients, and clearly you are not going to be able to handle a very thick syrup as you handle water. The pump specifications are going to be different. So there's lots of parameters that you need to really understand well so that your system works well. And if one of the components is not well balanced with the rest of the system, you're going to get issues like foaming, like the wrong mix, the wrong breaks, the wrong carbonation. So it's not complicated, but it's a package that you need to well construct together to deliver quality beverages. And I think that's all we are about, delivering a quality experience to the consumer. So the engine behind the system is what we call a cooler. So in that world of fancy beverages, I'm not going to talk more practical around what is a stainless steel construction with a compressor and some coils which effectively enable us to conduct the cooling of the beverages and water in these boxes. We've got a very strong, especially for soft drink, brand name or family brand, which is Ice Core. So you've got a range of products that goes from very big with the Multiplex 44 that you will find in QSRs. We probably have 3,000 installations with the Golden Arch, and then more of the middle range that we will find in cinemas and hotels, which are typically used by the soft drink bottlers, and then more of the smaller range that you will find in singular point of dispense in a pub, in a cafe, and again, Martin will be talking about that shortly. Then we have the beer coolers, which in essence do the same thing. It's about pumping, cooling, and getting the beverage ready to be consumed. The dispensing end, and clearly I'm taking the two extremes of the system. It's actually that's quite complex, and from a sanitary and hygienic perspective, it's extremely important that the design of these pieces is executed perfectly. So we work with a very high-end stainless steel valve for premix and beer and cider, which is our true pour tap, and we also have access to a range of post-mix valve. So that's the system typically. I'm starting with beer. So you've got the keg, the cooler, the tubing, and then the dispenser at the front end with a valve. And same here, typical QSR layout with the back room with your cooler or the pumps, bringing the product to the front where it's mixed and dispensed. Okay, so Martin, I will hand over to you to cover the ALB unit, which is the first product here on the left-hand side.
Yes. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Andrew, for your introduction there. So just focusing on one particular product at the, as Mark said, the ALB unit, which is different to the systems we were just previewing on the previous slides that cover the systems that are typically placed away from the point of dispense. In fact, they're typically called remote systems for obvious reasons. So in the case of some of the larger systems, they can be sited up to 50 meters away from where the actual point of dispense is. The good thing about ALB is it works all in one package, all at the point of dispense, which is fantastic when considering some other market sectors and pop-up kiosks, office spaces, some stadium kiosk where there simply isn't another back room somewhere where you can put all the equipment that we were just moving through. And even so, even if there was room in an account, what this image is trying to communicate here, and I think it does show that it is quite high impact, versus a normal remote installation, which is all the parts you see on the left-hand side. There's a lot less space needed, a lot less complexity, a lot less connections needed on installation, which are always the opportunity for leaks. The more connections are the more potential leak points as the system ages. So really what we've done is we've squashed it all down into a footprint of something that would probably be more typical with what you would see with water dispense. The dimensions of the black unit you can see there on the right on top of the cabinet are just a little smaller than, say, a Merrychef oven on our hot side range, which does fit very well next to a dispenser like this as well. But as you can see, just to give a quick summary, you need a water supply, you need a CO2 food grade beverage cylinder, the 4 products that are being dispensed, and then that can go into a cabinet or a countertop. And as we move through this, I'll show you some of the different applications and some of the benefits that an install like this can deliver. Move it to the next slide, please. So there's a bit of a closer image of the ALB unit itself. So the 2 units you can see on the left-hand side, the reason there's 2 is just to show you can have interchangeable graphics there on the front. It's a 4 flavour drinks dispenser. Each model also has the capability of dispensing still and carbonated water, as well as the 4 flavours. So this is, again, with footprint, not just the size of the ALB unit. You know, you can also consolidate a water dispenser into the one footprint, as well as offering 4 flavours. The 4 flavours can obviously be, there can be soft drinks, there could be still drinks. They could be mixed on the same unit, so quite a lot of flexibility and consolidation of equipment that can be delivered by using ALB. If the interest is to only dispense water, I'll refer you back to the image at the beginning where we were showing the kitchen in Guildford, where we've got water dispense. What you could see in that image is what you can see here on the right hand side. You could just see the 2 dispensing taps, one for cold carbonated water and one for cold still water, obviously both filtered as well. But that is the same ALB unit, but obviously not delivering flavours. It mounts underneath the counter. It's very compact. It just fits better into some of the office spaces and some of the applications where water dispense is more relevant, like institutional education, etc., etc. Could you move to the next one, please, Ron? Okay, so for the ALB units that can dispense flavoured products, there's a number of compatible products that can work with ALB. We would, when considering a product that can work with ALB, we would always ask you to, you know, check it out with us. As Mark referenced, very thick juices and other certain products can require some modification to the system in order for them to work. But it was, as we've already mentioned the names Pepsi and Coca-Cola quite a bit already in the opening section of the presentation, it's just a note just to say not to limit yourselves into thinking of drinks dispensers purely soft drinks, especially with products with health benefits rising towards the top of the agenda for the consumer these days. It's worth thinking about other products like iced teas, vitamin and mineral waters that some of the big brand owners are also investing in heavily. Fruit juices, sparkling flavoured water is also very big these days, and also tonics when it comes to the gin craze that is so popular these days. And thinking about different compatible products also allows us to think about the different applications, and indeed ALB expands the applications available to us to target with drinks dispense. When you consider the systems we were looking at previously, the remote systems that are typically geared towards soft drinks, you know, you wouldn't put a soft drinks dispenser in a fitness and leisure bar or a gym, or, you know, a fine dining restaurant, or different applications like that is the point I'm trying to make. So, but things like protein waters, vitamin waters, sparkling flavoured waters have a much wider application. Even in education, in some cases, you know, where the sugar contents aren't too high when compared with a few of the soft drinks. So that's just a note, really, just to get you guys really thinking outside the box as well as to where this equipment could be used, especially in areas where you have subsidised beverages or free beverages as well, like hotel or travel airport lounges, where they're currently bringing a huge amount of packaged goods through. There's the obvious focus now on plastic waste, and wherever people can say they've reduced their packaged waste or will not be using certain packaged products to begin with, it's always a good marketing exercise and always something very valuable to make the consumer aware of. So just have a look at those applications, and when you start looking at beverage, just think about the different areas where it can work as opposed to quick service restaurants and that you might used to be seeing it in. Okay, have the next slide. And as this is a good slide just to demonstrate the space saving ALB can deliver. It can deliver a space saving in many different ways. This is really just focusing on the equipment footprint. I think we're all used to seeing the type of water dispenser we can see there on the left. And then the two ALB installations that we're showing is a cabinet and a countertop. But if you look at the heights there, we're not a million miles away at all from what you would expect from a pretty standard water dispenser there. And a really good point to make is it's a very similar footprint, but we're also able to offer 4 flavours. 2 of them could be juices, 2 of them could be a sparkling beverage. So it just expands what could be offered in the same footprint as well. We're all used to be able to getting water in certain places, but maybe not so much, you know, some of the flavoured beverages in some of the different applications that I was just talking about previously. Okay, Mark. Here's just some pictures of a good example taken from a case study that we did here with ALB. So the larger image at the bottom left there is showing the account. This is actually like a pizza restaurant in a leisure park and a theme park, and you can see there on the left hand side they've got like a double door glass door chiller. And just out of shot, there's another glass door chiller next to that. What we did was, I mean, there was only 6 products being sold out of there. Huge amount of labour being spent to restock those fridges, especially in the summer. There's heavy footfall. You've also got issues with brand image. If you've just restocked the fridge, somebody comes to get a drink, it's warm, it hasn't had a chance to chill down. If the storage of the packaged product before it comes to the fridge isn't refrigerated. And one of the bonuses with soft drinks dispense and beverage dispense generally, you know, whether it's ALB or any of the other equipment we talk about, you're never going to get a fresher, higher quality, colder drink than you are through a post-mix dispense system. You know, obviously bottles and packaged goods are manufactured. That obviously the product has a sell-by date. It can degrade in the bottle over time. But obviously the point with dispense is it's being mixed fresh at the point of dispense. Literally like consuming a bottle as it comes off the end of a production line. And it was very relevant of Mark to refer to it as like a soda factory. What happens in the bottling plant is happening at a micro level right there in front of the consumer. Now, beside those benefits, these glass door chillers were removed. There was a shipping container outside that was used to store the product. That was removed, and that area they were allowed to bring in another entertainment item. they were able to put in another 2 tables in the space of where the glass door chillers were and increase their covers by 6. So it's not just the increase in profitability on labour savings and all the stuff that might be quite obvious. It's also what it does for the operation itself. I'll have the next slide, please. And here's a good example of a countertop installation in more of a grab and go environment. And these environments are becoming more common again in workplace and in institutional. A lot more common these days. And it's just trying to bring, again, typically where that ALB is, and underneath the counter there, you might have seen a big row of glass door chillers, with 4 or 5 products in, 50 bottles of each. Again, it's the same story as previously. It's just a different application. It just brings it all into one footprint there. And again, you can also imagine this scenario in hotel and travel lounge. Again, you'd have your creme style coffee machine there, snacks. And again, I think it sells itself when you can appreciate the amount of package waste and labour waste that would be removed with an installation like this. Again, this is a really good photo, and again, this image is a really good photo compared to a standard drinks installation. 1 CO2 connection, 4 flavour connections, and 1 water connection, and you are ready to dispense. Typically, the customers who use this product already allow between 60 to 90 minutes for an installation, obviously providing there's a plug socket and a water supply already there. But when you look at another standard post-mix install, they can be between 4 to 6 hours to install. So very, very quick to install there. This is a good one that shows the previous slide shows a cafeteria flow, which obviously quite relevant to us in food service. This one here is a quick service restaurant, obviously not to limit ALB to lower volume applications. This ALB unit does also have a remote chiller underneath the counter on the left, which almost exponentially increases the number of drinks that can be dispensed here. So this particular account, which is basically a fast food burger bar, was serving a phenomenal amount of drinks a day. Typically in some pubs they might dispense 1 or 2 bagging boxes of syrup or say 20 to 50 drinks a day. This particular account was doing hundreds of drinks per day, all in that footprint, with a supporting pre-chiller, cooling the water down first. And just to mention, this space was not an air-conditioned space, in quite a warm climate as well. So this is a real good success story for us, and just shows you the flexibility of the unit. And if you see on the right-hand side, there are some craft beverages. These beverages were actually developed so that they could place ALB into their account and bring in their own tailored beverage offering into their menu. What you're looking at there is actually how you order your food and your drink on a touchscreen at the front. There's only one operator who works in this restaurant, and at the ALB there is positioned so it's crew serve. There is a glass branded back panel that can go on the back there, which can look quite smart and act as a merchandiser as well to the consumer as they place their order. Okay. Cafe is another good one, especially when working alongside our creme products and trying to place things together there. This is like you see by the sign, is like a franchise Starbucks coffee shop. These guys really weren't dispensing any cold beverage at all, apart from a couple of lines which were just like a pure orange juice and a pure apple juice. And this just allowed them to expand their portfolio. You'll see the Pepsi Max symbol there. They were dispensing 2 flavoured water products and 2 soft drinks products in there, which allowed them to expand their offering. And also, I think some of the comments from that case study, they started to get some footfall when they advertised the new drinks that they wouldn't normally get. They only really had a coffee offering before. It's not really a place people would wander in with their kids to sit down for half an hour, but the increase in the drinks offering brought some new footfall in as well, which is obviously always what an operator wants. Okay. Just focusing on some of the savings and the space savings. When we compare ALB with selling packaged goods, you can see that infographic there in the centre, just to give you an idea. Just two typical 7-litre bagging boxes is the equivalent to 170 plastic bottles and 250 cans. If I take you back to that case study, and those guys were dispensing 4 bagging boxes a day, you can understand the waste, recycled or not. Where we know recycling doesn't always find its way into the recycling bin, but just the logistics, just think of the carbon footprint, the number of deliveries, etc., etc. This is focused on that particular case study that I already showed you, so these numbers are from that. So the reduction in the equipment footprint by reducing the glass door chillers was 44%. Energy reduction as well, especially when it's an account that's a chain, or you're working in a stadium that might have multiple bars. That 30% energy reduction can really become meaningful. And again, it also allows people to market their green credentials and the improvements they're making as a business to become more sustainable. Labour reduction is another area, being able to redirect your labour into other areas or reduce the labour, especially, again, I'll touch on stadiums, high volume accounts where refilling fridges all the time, the ergonomics and the manual handling implications of carrying around the crates of packaged goods, greatly reduced here. We timed a full restock of the equivalent amount of 104 bibs in a year was around 45 minutes per week they were spending on restocking the fridge, versus 5 minutes to simply unscrew a connector and reconnect the connector and you've got continued beverage dispense. The biggest saving is obviously floor space, storage space for packaged goods. In that account, we were able to deliver an 85% reduction in storage space, which allowed them to move in more tables, use storage space to open a new entertainment area for guests. So multiple savings on multiple levels, obviously all leading to increasing profitability. Okay, thanks. To the next one. And Mark already showed us something there touching on profitability with drinks, which is typically is very good. This is just showing some adverts we did here working with a juice company, again, which gives wider applications of working on hotel breakfast bars, education, so on and so forth. And there was just their return on investment and profit model that they use there. As you can see, the profit per drink was quite significant, what they were selling it for in these accounts versus what it actually cost. Now, just so you know, that's not just the cost of the concentrate and their water bill every year. This includes one of these products was carbonated. This includes gas. We work with them. It includes that labour element. It includes the multiple deliveries you would normally have for package. So it really does include everything there. It's not just a simple business case that looks at, right, that's the cost of the concentrate, this is how much I sell it for. So that is all things considered. So I think everybody could agree that's quite a compelling business model there for selling packaged goods. For selling dispensed goods. Have the next one. Mark, I think if you want to talk a little bit about fresh blends.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. So looking at fresh blend and moving from the carbonated soft drink to the specialty beverage category, we've got. Yeah, sorry, I was muted. So Martin, thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. Just covering fresh blend and moving from the CSD carbonated soft drink category to a specialty beverage category with blended beverages. We've designed a machine called Fresh Blender, which is really the result of a partnership between Welbilt, Multiplex, and a beverage brand in the US called Fresh Blends. So that has been launched about 2 years ago. Truly speaking, today we are present mainly in the US, a little bit in APAC, and we are just about to enter the European market segment. So what it does, it brings ingredient and equipment together, which is a plus, with a unique solution. So you can't put in any ingredient as you wish in there. It has to come fresh blend in a specific pouch, which has a unique connector here in the base cabinet. So we have a number of subsystems. I'm not going to detail everything, but we are stocking in a refrigerated base 8 different flavors. On the top of the unit, we've got an onboard nugget ice maker. You've got a large touch screen, which is really designed for self-serve application. You select the drink that you want, and then you've got the drink preparation area where the ingredients, the ice are dispensed into the cup, automatically transferred into a blender station, and then coming out when it's ready. So quite a lot of technologies. I've mentioned pumping, ice making, and if you can imagine having all of these things together in terms of built-in sanitary solution, it's quite advanced. And again, it's all driven by the screen, very helpful and very simple to prompt, what cleaning actions need to be taken. And I think, one of the feedback that we had, which was a bit of a surprise and a good surprise, was that, people touching screen would be reluctant to do so with the virus kind of fear. And actually, because on this machine, the drinks is prepared pretty much automatically, that there are rinsing processes in between the different steps. It gives that feeling of, and it's more than a feeling, but it gives that strong impression of a clean environment, a clean solution to have a beverage, which probably wouldn't be the case if you were, waiting for somebody to prepare a similar drink from a blender solution where, you've got pitchers all over the place, open packaged of different ingredients. It's all very manual with a lot of interference. All that goes away with that machine. So the menu you can achieve is quite phenomenal. I was saying you've got 8 ingredients. Really, you've got probably 10 when you add water and ice. And the beauty is that you are able to combine and to build a menu with different recipes, calling on different ingredients. So you could mix, the products from 2 or 3 different batches to almost create a signature menu. So that needs to be done up front. It's not done at the point of ordering. It needs to be built in the machine as an option with the drinks that you wish to have. The learnings, the sales have been quite good where we are present, and as I said, in the US mainly, with petroleum and convenience customers. Robustness compared to the fear of the virus, which is another good thing. And I think probably one area where Fresh Blend as our partner is bringing some additional value to the party is that they are very good at marketing and can support an end user in having all the marketing material to support the beverages sales in an outlet. It's all connected to a cloud. Actually, you can't start the machine if it's not connected. It drives a number of dashboards to monitor the performance of the machine, to monitor the sales. And I have to say again, to Fresh Blend's credit, they are extremely good at being reactive, looking at the menu, what is selling, not selling, developing loyalty programs, advising the retailers what to focus on. It's quite evolved. So that was just a flavor on what we can do. Martin has covered CSD, I've covered specialty beverage. I just want to move for a couple of minutes on the future of dispense as we see it. Sorry, it's quite a busy slide, and I think for me, if I look at all the publications, here is one from Euromonitor. There's really three big trends coming out, which are safety, number one, with the crisis we've just gone through. There's some interesting stuff in terms of vocabulary and wording which are being used. Restaurants as vending machines. I thought that was quite something. Minimal human contact. Think about Fresh Blend versus a blender, which takes 10 minutes to prepare your drink, and lots of handling. Automation. Smart photo ordering. Martin didn't show a video, but on the ALB, we actually have an option with a QR code where you can, scan a code from your phone and get the machine to dispense your beverage. So safety is number one in terms of trend for our future, I believe. Number two is the increase of plastic, and I think that's been the kind of almost reaction and safety net saying, I won't touch a dispenser anymore, it needs to be a sealed package and I'm okay. Well, maybe not actually when you think about it, and also the impact on the environment. I think these photos taken from CNN website tells a long story. And I would end as the third trend as being healthy food, healthy beverages, and healthy finance. I would also mention having a product which is of high quality, which is produced at a reasonable cost, sold at a reasonable cost. I do believe that for the younger generation, this is clearly, and it's not only a belief, it's reports from all sorts of sources making that as a very, very strong trend. So when we try to map these three trends, safety, sustainability, health, and look at what it means for the consumer, the operator, and the brand owner, we end up with technologies that we are either in the process of integrating in our equipment or working on in terms of a solution. So I'm not going to go much further than that, other than saying that there are things coming on the horizon which will mean something from an equipment perspective. Would it be, a simple sneeze guard, which is an acrylic panel in front of a dispenser, to more advanced things where you have QR code readers, or sustainability, not only in reducing packaging but having more efficient systems to cool with digital compressors, and it shows phenomenal potential. And also being able to drive health, and as I said, it's personal and finance, and I think all the cloud stuff Would it be driving service or driving sales of beverage? Bring a wealth of knowledge to drive that. Okay, very briefly, clearly we are impacted in the beverage industry. Some areas are more impacting than others. And I think, with our partners, and I hope consultants will be our partners or part of our partners tomorrow, it's a case of assessing where the opportunities are. And there are some of them. I think the cafe bakery segment is strong. The grab and go, as I said, we've seen it in the US with fresh blends, as well as C-stores. We know that the sales with a similar traffic on the like-for-like traffic have remained stable or if not improved. Clearly, I'm not going to tell you the same thing for events. It's a very different area, but there are opportunities that we can work on. And actually, our assessment was very similar to what Euromonitor was assessing in terms of level of impact. Okay, so that's us done in terms of presentation. Any questions?
Thank you very much for that, Mark and Martin. That was really useful to see, really good to hear. I think the learnings for me from that are particularly around the versatility and flexibility of the multiplex range across a number of different sectors, whether it be food service, retail, convenience. So that was a really useful presentation, and I hope it was good for the consultant market too. We have had a couple of questions come in, so I will run through those and we'll see whether we can answer them between us. So the first question that's come up, I think, Martin, it might be one that you might be able to answer for us. And the question is simply, with almost all businesses in the leisure and hospitality sectors having been closed for the past 3 months and associated beverage machines having been shut down, does Multiplex have any specific recommended restart procedures for those sites that are now looking to reopen?
Yes, it's a good question and one that I've become used to answering. Yeah, we do have online resources that cover this under multiplexbeverage.com sanitation. The resources that you will find in there, probably the one most relevant for me to mention is the very specific beverage equipment shutdown and restart procedure, which can be found towards the bottom of that page. That's a checklist that covers when the equipment's been left switched off for a while, what you should do. Now, in the beverage world, there is already very good cleaning procedures in place anyway. That should always be followed. But yes, there is a few extra steps you'll see in the checklist that typically tend to be handled by service companies anyway. But the ones that are probably applicable to the end operator, are to do with cleaning the connections to things like the bagging boxes where the concentrate's kept. So on and so forth, and making sure that water filters have been changed after they've been left sat dormant for a while, with that water not moving in anywhere inside it. But like I said, if that resource, if anybody wants to look at that, that they can find it there on that website and have a look at that checklist, which has been done by our engineering and technical support departments. There's also further information on cleaning in all our equipment manuals, which are available on the website also.
Okay, thank you very much. So just to reiterate there, more information can be found at multiplexbeverage.com. Thank you, Martin. So the second question that's come in then is around the current situation with the pandemic and COVID-19. I think elements of this were touched upon in your presentation, particularly around fresh blends. But the question is simply, with the current government guidelines and best practices focusing on social distancing and reducing staff/customer contact points through the use of technology, including contactless payments and app ordering, what features does the Multiplex range bring to an establishment looking to adhere to the new normal?
Sure. Yeah, again, probably a question that's on the tip of everybody's tongues these days. Yeah, I mean, other than what we've already touched on, and you know, some of the ways the equipment like ALB and that can also help with, you know, distancing and not having people handling the same packaged goods all the time. Obviously, you know, since the beginning of the current situation, we've been looking at various technological solutions also, mainly around contactless dispense. And how people, as opposed to, you know, opening a handle or having to touch something to pour their drink, we are already working on solutions looking at various methods of technology that take away that physical interaction with the equipment, and keep it sanitary, and in some cases also deliver, you know, a lot more of an engaging consumer experience as well, when it comes to mixing drinks and things like that. So I think probably best to say watch this space. There's lots of good stuff coming from us on that, looking at our existing equipment and product developments going forward as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And I think like a lot of manufacturers, we're all taking learnings from the current situation and how we can best support our customers and the end operators. So I'm sure as consultants, many of you will keep an eye out for that and look forward to future innovations. The third question then that's come into us. As a food service consultancy, we regularly use equipment specification platforms such as KCL. Does Multiplex offer its product range on such platforms and have resources such as bin blocks, CAD drawings and associated files been made available for consultants and specifiers to use when working on projects?
Yes, so we do work with KCL, and we have some CAD data on their website. So yes, we do to a limited extent. I have to say, but it's something that's clearly, I think we have available as a platform, and can populate, you know, especially with ALB and Fresh Blend, relatively easily. It's a file upload. So, you know, the most important is we've got access to a vehicle that can, you know, make the bridge between us as an OEM and a consultant integrating equipment onto architect layouts.
Thank you very much, Mark. And I think the final question then links quite nicely to the question we've just had. And that's simply that, as you touched on right at the beginning of the presentation, Mark, Multiplex is a relative newcomer to the food service consultant sector. How do you see yourself, or how do you see the process of working with consultants and specifiers going forward?
Yeah, I think, you know, like anything new, I think we would need to take it slowly and be selective as to how we do things. I think, you know, we can bring a package, a system together that covers equipment, ingredients, and service. But you've also seen some aspects of the complexity that may be attached to it. So I think for me, it's a case of selecting the right opportunity, focusing on it, doing it well, once, twice, and maybe we start with water, and then we add complexity with carbonated soft drinks, with the Fresh Blend machine. I think it's a case of finding the right pace and the right the right application. But for me, the key is, you know, let's select something which is going to be successful, which is going to be positive for all the partners, and bring value. So I think we can all work together to that purpose. And you know, I would love, you know, in 1 year time to start the presentation with one success story. That would be good. That's my objective.
And I think that's a fantastic place to finish. I think we've covered a lot there. I think it's a really good insight into the Multiplex range, and a much more sort of detailed look at a couple of the products in the range. For me, as I touched on earlier, I think the versatility is great, the flexibility that it can bring to a site, and going forward where space is at such a premium, with social distancing and everything else, I think that the multiplex range can bring some real benefits to the end user and to the operator. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Martin, for your insight there. I hope everybody watching found that really useful. Just to reiterate again, for more information, visit www.multiplexbeverage.com, where you can find a number of resources, you can find more information on the products, and you can find contact details should you wish to get in touch with any of the team. But for now, I think that's just about everything. So yeah, thank you very much.